Dear friends, good day, and dear astrology lovers, welcome to my channel. Today, I'll be sharing what aspects await us during this last week of November, from November 24th to the 30th. I must admit, the last week of November is very interesting, as we'll have some very positive aspects from the transiting Venus in Scorpio, specifically its trine with Jupiter, as well as a trine with retrograde Saturn, which can bring, above all, loyalty, trust, good financial opportunities, and optimism. This week features the first quarter moon, which is active on November 28th at the 6th degree of Pisces. On that day, Saturn goes direct at 25 degrees 9 minutes of Pisces, and it will stay in Pisces until February 14th, when it moves into the sign of Aries. This will certainly be a great relief on a karmic and spiritual level, because the direct influence of Saturn can open up completely new possibilities for us. It can also show us and renew all our fears and all our pains. I've already spoken about these transformations in the video about the new moon, and the main event for this week is that Mercury, which is currently retrograde in Scorpio, will go direct on November 29th. This will bring great relief when it comes to communication, paperwork, and especially agreements, travel, devices, and so on. I just have to mention that Mercury will be in its final post-retrograde phase until December 16th, when it completely exits the retrograde zone. And finally, as the icing on the cake, Venus, transiting Venus in Scorpio in opposition to retrograde Uranus and in a trine with retrograde Neptune on November 30th, could bring big surprises in the area of love relationships. It can bring many unexpected financial expenses, but also, my goodness, some situations where you'll be shocked or surprised. We'll see if it's pleasant or unpleasant, but whatever happens, trust that the message from the heavens will be, who knows why this is a good thing. On the last day of November, we can also expect Venus to move into the optimistic, fiery sign of Sagittarius. It will be there for most of the next month, so we can expect completely new, more open relationships and energies when it comes to the heavens. All right, now we'll start with the daily aspects of the moon, the transiting moon, to see what kind of days await us during the last week of November. We'll do a slightly more detailed overview so that you can try to organize your week. Monday, the 24th of November, is under the influence of the moon, the transiting moon, in the sign of Capricorn. And since it is in decline, it may bring a little more increased fears, pessimism, tendency to depression and melancholy, which may also be the reason for the weather changes. Especially people who have rheumatic problems, problems with the spine, bones, or teeth, should pay a little more attention. However, as much as Monday carries a little more weight, it is a great day to take matters into your own hands, to organize yourself nicely, and to start all those small jobs that have been standing around since the summer, which you didn't have time to finish, too. Given that the moon will be in sextile with Venus, but also in sextile with retrograde Mercury, as much as Mercury retrograde has a negative impact, it will have a very positive impact on Monday. If you need to finish some paperwork that has been pending for a long time, if you need to receive a package or complete a transfer, let's say, of documents. And Monday can also be a very positive day to turn to older family members to get some quality advice. Certainly the energy to be wiser and more patient, more disciplined. Monday is a very good day for people who want to switch to a healthier diet, or somewhere it is recommended to take a little more care of their nutrition. Also, if you have been waiting a little longer to get an appointment, Monday can be positive for medical examinations, especially if you are dealing with some chronic problems. As for Tuesday, the 25th of November, the moon in the sign of Capricorn will make an opposition with retrograde Jupiter, and a little advice from heaven is to avoid laziness and apathy, too much letting go. Considering that most of the first day, this day carries the energy that we should take on as many, let's say, bigger obligations, to continue to get serious, to turn to career, work, daily obligations. And the moon will be in a fairly good aspect and sextile with retrograde Saturn and Neptune, which means that responsibility and work will pay off. It is also an aspect of stable emotions, the trust you will leave to others, and it can also be a continuation of some smaller, but useful everyday obligations that can mean a lot to you. And the moon in the sign of Capricorn will also have a trine with retrograde Uranus in the sign of Taurus. Well, people who are looking for a job have some important conversations or meetings. They can expect it to go quite positively. And if you want to change a bad habit or make some changes in your home, Tuesday can be a very positive day for that. What we have among the most important aspects is the conjunction between retrograde Mercury and transiting Venus in the sign of Scorpio at the 22nd degree. And this aspect is extremely lucky for beautification, love, let's say, meetings, meeting new people. This aspect can bring a lot of flirting. It can bring positive energy as far as writing is concerned. It can bring happiness through the mediation position. And otherwise, I have to say that Monday and the first day, the first part of Tuesday, can very well suit people who are connected to state institutions, construction, accounting, banking, people who are engaged in agriculture, or people who in some way already have a long-standing family business. These days will be very difficult for them, but heaven demands work, discipline, and order. What we certainly have on Tuesday is the change of the moon into an air sign, the fixed sign of Aquarius from 11 hours and 17 minutes. And we have a completely different energy because the moon carries the need for freedom, for some adrenaline changes. We will have a greater need to socialize with friends. And let me say, Tuesday and Wednesday can be very positive days for people who deal with electrical engineering, mechanical engineering, aviation, astrology, psychotherapy, and all some new fields of education. So these people can be in the center of attention. The moon in the sign of Aquarius, the first aspect it will make will be a conjunction with Pluto, so you can act very persuasively and powerfully in relation to others. And also, Tuesday can be primarily a good day to change habits or in some way to start some additional options when it comes to the position of earnings. Friends, socialization, and the internet will be in the first place, and the energy will be, let's say, exactly as it is when talking about emotions, full of some adrenaline, some surprises, some strong encounters, and unexpected changes. And the moon in the sign of Aquarius will also have a sextile with the sun in the sign of Scorpio. So passion and that adrenaline will come together, so that Tuesday can also be very late for air signs that will have extremely good mental abilities. Considering that the key aspect, the conjunction of retrograde Mercury and Venus, enters the sign of Scorpio, this will be a good time for Scorpios for trade, mediation, and especially emotional relationships. It won't be unusual during this time for an ex-love to contact you or for you to hear something that can make you very happy. Tuesday into Wednesday can be particularly favorable for people expecting an inheritance or some compensation, who are expecting the return of land or are in some way expecting news regarding real estate. Wednesday, November 26th, is particularly important because the transiting Venus in the sign of Scorpio will form an exceptionally lucky trine with retrograde Jupiter. And this aspect can primarily bring an increase in material goods, earnings, and the opportunity to earn more. Above all, Venus is the planet of love and pleasure, and it will bring a lot of optimism, good energy, well-being, or the support you expect from others. As for the moon, since it will be in the sign of Aquarius, it will make a significant aspect, a sextile with the transiting Mars in the sign of Sagittarius. So on Wednesday, we'll have quite good energy when we need to take on, let's say, more physically demanding jobs. We can also engage in sports. And the day itself can carry excellent energy, especially for people in public service, but also for people involved in legal affairs. Also, Wednesday can be good if you're expecting a larger sum of money to be paid out to you, or if you're expecting to meet important people. As for Thursday, November 27th, I must mention that on that day we will have extremely sensitive aspects, as the moon in the sign of Aquarius will form a square with retrograde Uranus, Venus, and retrograde Mercury. So that's not really, let me tell you, good. There are days in the week that carry that kind of energy when it's hard for us to get out of bed, when everything annoys us, when we feel very sensitive. And on that particular day, you shouldn't plan anything big. If you have the opportunity to take a day off, to rest, to recharge your batteries, to do some things you enjoy, to regenerate your energy, that would be, above all, good. But this day can bring big misunderstandings when it comes to love, relationships with your surroundings, neighbors, and business associates. However, above all, there will be a lack of focus and concentration, so pay attention if you do have to do something significant on Thursday. It's very important to concentrate on it. I have to say that this day may not suit, above all, sensitive people, addicts, or people who are going through some psychological problems. So it is advised that they ask for help, considering that the weather conditions this Sunday will not be favorable, especially for chronic patients, but above all, for emotionally sensitive people. What we do have as a relief on the 27th is that the transiting Venus in the sign of Scorpio makes a trine with the retrograde Saturn, and somehow there is a message from heaven. If someone needs to come back to you and suits your destiny, he will come back at this time. This is a great time to invest in permanent investments. A great time to start an emotional relationship because it can be long lasting. A great time to reconcile with someone, a great time to follow your intuition because intuition, imagination, creativity, and premonition will be and will become of great importance. People who suffer from insomnia may have a slightly bigger problem between the 27th and the 28th of November, given that the moon also moves into the sign of Pisces at 8 hours and 25 minutes. It would be good to use that time for a movie, concert, music, good news. Avoid some tragic or unfortunate bad news. There is already enough bad news constantly around us, and turn that energy towards something positive. 26th to 27th, especially on a material emotional level, can be very friendly to Sagittarius, Libra, Air, Taurus can have very fruitful and good investments, but it can also be friendly to the sign of Cancer and the sign of Capricorn. When it comes to everyday obligations, the 27th, especially for Gemini, Virgo, Aquarius, can be a little bad, meaning they can feel a little anxious. So it's very important that on that day you maybe use some calming teas or in some way, if you're feeling tired, to get a little better sleep, regenerate your body, and try to think positively. November 28th, the last Friday of this month, is influenced by the first quarter moon, which will occur at the 6th degree of the sign of Pisces. This is the phase before the last super full moon in December, on December 4th. I have to tell you, this phase is a bit as changeable as the sign of Pisces. There may be sudden changes in mood, emotions, sudden depression, and emptiness. You might feel a bit lazy and apathetic. You might feel you don't have enough energy to focus on any ambitious goals. For that reason, Friday is a day to set aside for your loved ones, for things that you enjoy. Music, especially on the 27th and 28th, can be very beneficial for your body, as well as various hobbies that bring cheerfulness, like dancing or sports activities that you might really enjoy. The star's advice for this first quarter of the month is to be just a little bit more careful and attentive, especially if you are taking any medication on your own, so to speak, or if you enjoy drinking alcohol. Be a bit more cautious and mindful, as there could be some possible side effects. One of the most important points for the 28th is that Saturn, which has been retrograde since summer, you remember it went retrograde in early July, will start moving direct from the 28th at 25 degrees and 9 minutes. And Saturn's direct motion means that everything you've absorbed and learned will now move in a positive direction. The heavens will open up and offer gifts for your effort and progress. You'll have the opportunity to more fully and carefully feel and assess things and to turn towards the things that rightfully belong to you. The last weekend in November, Saturday, November 29th, I mentioned the main news. Mercury goes direct from 6:40 p.m. It will now be in its stationary motion, entering its final, let's say, post-retrograde phase, and it will be there until December 16th. On December 11th, it re-enters the sign of Sagittarius, and we will have an extremely optimistic energy ahead of us when we talk about December. And this can certainly be relieving news. When Mercury goes direct, you should wait a day or two, just so you know, and you will definitely feel some relief when it comes to communication, paperwork, agreements, your surroundings, and so on. As for the aspects related to the moon, in the early morning hours, the moon will have a square with the transiting Mars in the sign of Sagittarius. And that aspect, believe me, can bring some conflicts, nervousness, impatience, irritability, and a tendency towards exclusivity. So the advice would be to try to avoid that. However, the rest of the day brings very positive aspects, as the moon in the sign of Pisces will have a very lucky aspect, a trine with Mercury, a trine with Jupiter, and that can certainly bring a very happy energy when it comes to love. Friday is a very good day for travel, a very good day for sports competitions, and it can be an excellent day for some skilled work. It can be very favorable for artists and people involved in culture. It will be excellent for medical workers because there will be good results and so on. And the evening hours bring a conjunction of the moon and Saturn, and that aspect can bring a slight feeling of fatigue or a tendency towards inner restlessness, causing you to perhaps worry about some things that should be forgotten or left aside. The last day of November is perhaps the most interesting, considering we have that change in Venus's transit. Venus will first be in opposition to retrograde Uranus, and this month can be rounded off with an important message. If someone truly suits you, you will see, and you will have a significant test of whether your emotional relationship can genuinely move forward, or if it is better to stop it there and end it in the best possible way. It would be good to listen to your feelings, if you have a sixth sense, considering that Venus will be in a trine with retrograde Neptune. This can mean that even if there is some irritability or anxiety in the emotional and financial spheres, it will all end positively. Venus will move into the sign of Sagittarius, that is, on the last day of November from 9:15 p.m. You will have a separate video about Venus, so I won't go into details now, but her energy certainly brings a more open, more optimistic energy when it comes to love and pleasure. She will trigger a lot of hedonism, travel, shopping, and so on. As for the aspects related to the moon, on Sunday, November 30th, the moon receives excellent aspects from Venus, a sextile with retrograde Uranus, and a conjunction with retrograde Neptune. Sunday is a very nice day for celebrations, concerts, going out. It can bring falling in love. It can bring a lovely energy if you're also planning a family event. And the moon moves into the sign of Aries at 2:08 a.m. And this energy will bring a lot of action, a lot of speed, maybe a bit more impatience, but we will certainly enter the new month of December with an energetic, let's say, with energetic emotions and energy that will be quite combative. Considering the moon will have excellent aspects with Pluto and the sun, I believe you will finish this month with a great sense of relief, that you will have the impression that you've learned a great deal this month. But that unexpected circumstances can be expected during this month, that's for sure, especially between November 29th and 30th. So that's all for this weekly overview. I hope it will help you with some activities you're planning for the last week of November. If you like this video, you can subscribe to my channel. You can like it, leave a nice comment, why not? And we will certainly see each other in the next video. I send you many greetings and much love, your astrologer, Natasha.